Here is a complete and concise guide to everything you need to know about the Showdowns on Naigtal and Val in patch 12.0.7. Welcome to the Drowsy Dragon. Let's dive into this new system and see what it's all about and what all the rewards are from it and how you can get them. To gain access to the two Showdown areas, you will complete a short questline with Riftblade Maella, where you recruit the Demon Hunter and the Lightforged troops for the expeditions. It's two short questlines really, and then once you've completed those, you'll head into the Void Storm to open up the portal to the first zone. Now, these two zones rotate each week, so you'll either be heading into the boggy, mushroom and spore-infused zone of Naigtal, where the Void Ethereals are setting up a Mana-forged base, or Val, the remote, frozen world battered by storms, where the renegade Void forces are converging. Now, once you unlock these, your alts do get instant access to them. You don't need to repeat the intro questline, and you can even come to these locations on level 80 plus characters. So this could be a decent way to level up, depending on how much XP the various activities give. So, what can you do in these two zones, and what are the rewards for doing the content there? Let's take a look. So the activities here involve some one-time quests that you can complete that give you a bit of story about the zones and the mission, which are tied to the introductory quests as well. Other than that, it's a case of exploring, taking down rare enemies, completing world quests, looting treasures, and tackling the world bosses, of which there is one for each zone. There is always a weekly quest called either Showdown on Naigtal or Showdown on Val, which you can pick up from the base camp at each zone. Completing activities like this will share a weekly vault slot with the Delves and Prey tier. You can either do these activities on the normal or heroic world tier, including the weekly quest, but the heroic world tier version does give you better rewards in terms of the crests it gives and the amount of field accolades and coffer key shards that you'll get, as well as the rewards from normal, so you don't need to do this twice. So ideally just complete the activities on heroic world tier. More about that in a second. Once you complete the weekly quest, you can keep going by choosing other ways to fight back against the Void and Ethereals, and completing these gets you the same reward as the initial weekly. You get the same cash basically. World quests here are on a faster cycle than in the normal world, with them lasting around an hour each, and a new world quest starts roughly every 20 minutes. So getting to Naigtal and Val is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is take the portal, either using the original portal in the Void Storm here, or by using the teleportation pad in Silvermoon, where the Void Assault hub is. And you can portal straight back to either Void Storm or Silvermoon by using the pad again when you're in the base camp at Naigtal or Val. Do be sure to complete the questline with Commander Talasan, as this will get you the Light Veil Recall Beacon toy, which allows you to teleport to the currently active Showdown base camp on a 15-minute cooldown. On Naigtal, he was here on the map, and the quest was called A Swampy Welcome to Naigtal. If it is Val for the week, he will probably be in Val as well, offering a similar quest. So Naigtal also has these handy Mana-forged translocator paths that you can unlock during another quick intro quest, and I do recommend doing so to allow you to quickly travel around the zone. So when you get to both Naigtal and Val, definitely just do all the side quests there. That will fully unlock the zone and its intricacies. So you can ramp up the difficulty by going into heroic world tier, which makes quite the jump in item level recommendation, but the rewards are of course better. For heroic world tier, it recommends that you have 274 item level, so if you don't have that or higher yet, it's going to be a good idea to group up while you are there. Remember though, when this is new, there will be a lot of people in these zones just doing all the content, so it's likely to be quite enjoyable and a bit easier rather than going in there solo, because solo, it is hard or tedious. So how do you get to heroic world tier? Basically, when you click on the portal to go to Naigtal or Val, you will get the same sort of menu that you get when you enter a delve, and you can just toggle it from the menu there. The first time you unlock the portal to the Showdown areas in Void Storm, you might have this option available. Now, this has been a bit funny on the PTR. But what's supposed to happen is, when you kill one of the world bosses on normal, doesn't have to be both, just one of them for the week, wherever you are that week, that is what unlocks the heroic world tier. So maybe it'll be there on launch of the patch, maybe you need to kill the world boss, but either way, that's how you do heroic world tier. When you enter Naigtal or Val on heroic world tier, Decimus will have another quest for you called Knocking Off the Top Heroic, which is to collect 4 Void Commander's emblems. These drop from either of the world bosses, so in theory, it will take 4 weeks to complete if you just do the world boss. There is discussion about the fact that these emblems may drop from the caches from the weekly quests, so potentially if they do, and you do the bonus weekly objectives as well, you could get this done in a week, but from my experience, they don't drop from the weekly caches. I've just heard that mentioned before. So assume it's going to take 4 weeks to get this item and quest complete, but it may be shorter. Classic Blizzard clarity. The reward from this quest is a choice of one of these myth track items. There's a cloak, belt, or wrists to choose from. Now this is not mega impactful for geared mains of course, but for alts, this is pretty nice, providing you can do this on once per character. Again, this may just be a one-time deal, but we'll see. Now, Heroic World Tier isn't just harder hitting mobs with higher health, it has that as well of course, but there's other things too. You will find more elite mobs around the zones, and a lot of the mobs get affixes on them as well, making them a bit more deadly. You also have a chance to be ambushed by mobs as well, and you do get hero crests though from killing rares and killing the world boss too, and it's champion crests when you're on normal tier. There's a very short intro quest with Kifan, which will unlock the purchase of useful items to aid you in these zones, such as bandages and vapors, which are various combat boons. For example, reflecting frost damage back at your attacker, which is very useful on Val, or turning your mana into a barrier. And even one lets your auto attacks build up stacks to then stun enemies. So there's some interesting combat tweaks there to vary it up a bit and make it a bit more fun. Okay, so that's all about what to do there, but what do we get for it? Where's the fun stuff? Let's have a look. So the first thing that you'll notice from most activities is that you get some gear, some field accolades, some relic coffer key shards, profession materials and gold from the various activities in these zones, as well as Void Mal. So with field accolades, you can buy a lot of things from the vendors from here. You do get these for doing world quests, events, rares and treasures, and on Heroic World Tier these are increased. You do also get these lost armaments. Now these are gear pieces that drop from rares. On normal it's 1 out of 6 champion gear, and on Heroic it's 4 out of 6 champion gear. All of it is warband bound, so this can be useful for alts. You may also be able to catalyze this gear to unlock tier set appearances for your alt characters too, so do bear that in mind. Now the world bosses drop champion gear on normal and hero gear on Heroic World Tier, which is again warband bound. So that's gear and currencies, but what can we get from the currencies? Let's take a look at the mounts, pets and cosmetics we can get our hands on. There are a few different vendors at the base camps. First we've got Fieldsmith Ventum. He sells cosmetic void response gear for each armor type and weapons. These do share the same models that come from the campaign and Prey, but with a darker void-like colour scheme. Now do note that these cost Void Mal and field accolades, but you will get these appearances from killing the rares in each zone from the gear that they drop. So perhaps hold off buying these for if you don't get the ones you need, for example, so you can just target specific pieces. Then we've got Zuranar, who sells Lightforged cosmetics and housing decor, notably the arsenal of Lightforged armaments containing 3 weapon appearances, and there's also this mace and this sword. Now to get these armaments, you do need to complete the achievements Showdown Slugger on both Naigtal and Val, which simply involves killing any 6 of the rares that you can find in each zone. So it's going to take you at least 2 weeks to get this unlocked. The housing items available are really going to open up some options for doing light forged housing creations. There's even this huge siege breaker you can buy, and you can definitely do some cool things with these other items too, and they all simply cost Void Mal. Next vendor we've got is Kifan, the Ethereal. This vendor sells the 3 mounts, 3 battle pets and some cosmetic items. So first we've got the Netherforged Null Frame. This requires the achievement A Trip Through the Stars to be completed before you can buy it. And we've also got the Voidmancer's Star Carver, which also requires an achievement A Trip Around the Stars to be completed. These mini-meta achievements basically require the completion of both the intro quest lines for each zone, the completion of the other quest lines that you can find around each zone, defeating 6 rare creatures, 1 on Naigtal, 1 on Val, completing 8 of the available world quests in each zone, and dissipating 5 storms in each area. So basically just playing the game in each of the zones. These objectives will be pretty self-explanatory when you get to the zones and shouldn't take too much extra focus or tedious work to complete. I was planning on doing a separate guide for these achievements, but honestly, I think they're going to be pretty easy. I may do though for some of the other specific stuff, so just make sure you subscribe so you get that content when it comes out, if it does, or whatever the next video happens to be. Thank you. We've also got the Tortured Gorger mount, which requires completion of the Heroic Showdowns achievement. This is another mini meta that, as you can guess from the name, requires similar activities as the previously mentioned achievements, just this time on Heroic World Tier. This time the achievement does bake both zones into one, so you don't have two separate achievements for Naigtal and Val. We've then got 3 battle pets with some great names. We've got Frosticus Maximus. To get him, you need to get the achievement Ultradon Carnage. This requires 100 kills of enemies while controlling the Ultradon Slayer on the world quest until it's done. So you just need to wait for that world quest to be active, and I would recommend, if you can, use the trick of getting into a raid group and then doing the world quest, because being in a raid group means that you won't actually complete the world quest too soon before you've got the achievement done. May or may not work, but do try that if you want to get this done the first time you've got access to the quest. Next we've got Salento, which requires the achievement Showdown Success from each zone, which is part of the other meta achievements for completing the world quests on each zone. So you'll be doing this anyway if you're going for the other metas. We've also got Fishstick Keith, what a guy. He needs the Climate Strange Val achievement, completing to buy him, which is for dissipating 5 storms in the Val zone. Then for the cosmetics, we've got the Swamp Dweller's Nightstaff, which is fitting for any Garden Gnome Transmogs or Witch in the Woods perhaps, but also these 2 packs, the Bulging Ethereal pack and the Bulging Winter pack. These cost 250 field accolades each, and they contain a random ethereal weapon appearance or a random winter-themed piece of gear from the winter pack. Now this seems to be the full set that we can acquire for the winter gear, and these are some examples of the ethereal weapons you can loot from the bags. I do hope that these bags don't drop duplicates, because that's going to get annoying pretty quick if they do, but do bear in mind that the appearances you get from the ethereal bag, you can get those from just looting treasures around the zone. So again, perhaps maybe hold off spending your field accolades on these bags unless you just want to chance it and try your luck, but you may get what you need just from picking up a treasure. So maybe hold off for a bit, and if you're drowning in field accolades, fair enough, you can just buy as many bags as you want to. Choice is yours. And that is pretty much everything you need to know and everything you can acquire from doing these showdowns on Naigtal and Val. Let us know what you think about the system. Initially, honestly, I wasn't too excited about this. It seemed a bit meh, if I'm being completely honest. But having been there on the PTR and with the expansion of what they've done with it, with the different world tiers and rewards and things like that, I think it'll be alright. It'll be a reasonable thing to do and go and do the meta achievements. But what do you think, guys? So, thank you very much for watching. I've been the Drowsy Dragon, and if you did enjoy the video, please do leave it a like and subscribe to the channel for more guides and content from me here at the Drowsy Dragon. I'd love to give a big shout out to our channel members here on YouTube and our Patreons over on Patreon for supporting the channel with their own money. Thank you so much for doing that. It's very generous of you, and I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to do the same, you can find the links in the description below. I do hope you have a great day, guys, and enjoy patch 12.0.7, and then we can start talking about 12.1 stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!